Oregon has one very, very versatile and athletic quarterback committed in the 2024 recruiting class. And today we're going to meet him and talk about his journey to Oregon on today's episode of the Ducks Dish podcast. And we're back like we never left. Oregon fans, what's going on? Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Ducks Dish podcast. I'm your host, Max Torres, and got a very special episode in store for you guys today. I'm talking with 2024 Oregon quarterback commit Luke Moga out of Phoenix, Arizona, Sunnyslope High School. Luke, thanks so much for joining us today. How you living, man?
I'm good. It's Mother's Day, so today's a good day, but I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Always nice. You got to celebrate mom every day, but this is the day specifically for her. What do you guys have planned for the day?
I took her to get a pedicure, actually my first pedicure today. So, I'm an athlete, so my feet needed a little cleaning up. But we're just having dinner and just hanging out today.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm sure she appreciated that and is, glad to get to spend some extra time with you and the fam. But for you guys tuning in, kind of our plan for the episode is to just talk a little bit about Luke's journey to Oregon, his childhood growing up, and kind of what led him to Oregon and what lies ahead. So we got a lot of awesome stuff, and I'm excited to have you guys on for the journey. So starting up things off, Luke, this is kind of a loaded question, but just tell me a little bit about what it was like growing up, your childhood. Are you originally from Arizona? What was it like growing up?
Yeah, so I'm born and raised here in Central Phoenix. I call it Central Phoenix. It's really Phoenix, but there's a little kind of bubble around my school, but I'm born and raised here. My parents are from Tucson. My dad played football at the University of Kentucky. So I've always kind of grown up around football. Granted, I never played until my freshman year. I have two older sisters. So, we're a sports family. My 25-year-old sister played soccer at the University of Arizona. So that's what I was doing growing up. I played on a MLS Academy team called Phoenix Rising. So that was super, super competitive all year round. Contracts and stuff like that at the youth age. So that's what I was doing, playing club basketball too as well. But like I said, I grew up a sports family, raised with three girls and one dad. So, kind of made me well-rounded, like I like to say today.
Yeah. I mean, well, hearing that you played soccer, I wasn't a very good soccer player, but I know one thing you have to do in soccer is run. Yeah. You can definitely do that, seeing your track times and everything. So you kind of started, it sounds like, mainly with soccer as your primary sport growing up. I know that football is obviously a huge focus now, but when did football kind of get into the picture? I just wanted to get a little bit of a better sense for your overall, athletic background.
Yeah, I always played, I played like a little flag here and there, but like I said, my dad played in college. He was a heavily recruited guy, back in the 80s, 90s, so not quite like it is today. But so I grew up around it, always watched it. My mom didn't want me playing Pop Warner. So I freshman year, I was actually only going to be a kicker because I played soccer. And if I'm going to play football, I want to have the ball. I want to control the game. So that's when I started, playing football and then quarterback my freshman year. And then, I obviously showed a lot of flashes of athleticism freshman year. But then I started working with my quarterback coach, who I think is the best out here. And that's kind of when it took off mechanically, mentally, physically. It's just, every day working on the quarterback. You can never be perfect at the position, which is why I like it so much. But it's, it's kind of been an uphill, fast moving climb for me at the position.
Yeah, no doubt. So starting as a kid, going from kicker to quarterback, I mean, you can't have a much more drastic transition in terms of just, what your plan was. A lot of people think, oh yeah, kicker, it's like, laid back during practice. You're just, doing your thing by yourself. And it's like, oh, hey, no, go be the face of the team now. Here are the keys to the Ferrari.
Yeah. I actually, it was the first day my freshman coach coached both of my sisters at the school. So I knew him, and he was like, I was going into it, going to kick. He's like, freshman football team, we had the whole stand up if you want to play whatever position and quarterback. So I'm like, I want to be in control. I want to be the guy. So I actually never did kick, but that was my intention going in. But, I'm third string kicker now just because of my soccer background. So I'm the emergency kicker right now. So it all worked out.
For sure. Okay. Well, yeah, that's definitely a cool, path to the quarterback position. I was like looking through some stats and like trying to research you a little bit more. So were you playing quarterback full time from the jump, or did you kind of move around a little bit before it really became the main focus?
So freshman year, I was full time quarterback, and then sophomore year we had a senior coming back, so I split time with him. And then when I wasn't at quarterback, I was returning kicks, I was playing receiver, I was playing running back, and we kind of split about 60-40. He took 60, I took 40. Obviously, being a sophomore in varsity, having 1 year of experience, it was probably a good thing for me to split reps to continue learning and to just get comfortable, on the field in general. And then this season, junior year, was my first full year having the reins.
Okay, sure, sure. So yeah, moving around a little bit and playing some other positions. We definitely have to talk about how fun it is to play quarterback through your eyes, but just as far as the other position, I feel like you probably have a different appreciation for it now. What did you like about playing receiver, and I think did you say running back as well? A little bit of that. What was that experience like?
Yeah, it's definitely good to see and to feel the other positions. I'm yelling at my guys like, hey, let's run faster. But then when I'm out there running all these routes, I know what it's like. They're tired and stuff like that. But then I can also be like, I think I was a first team all region receiver in like 4 games of me starting at receiver. So then I'm like, hey guys, like I've done this. Get here, get to this spot. So it definitely has its pros and cons. But like I said, I think that was good for me to just get more experience on the football field.
Yeah, there's no doubt that there's a tremendous value that comes with that because a lot of people think, just as a quarterback, you have to kind of know what's going on at every position, what every guy is doing, which it's not easy to have all that on your plate.
Yeah, no, it's not. So no, it's not.
So now we're in 2022, last season, your first full year, playing quarterback, at least at the varsity level, right? And I don't know. I think if you just look at things on the surface, committed to Oregon, only played quarterback for 1 year at the varsity level it doesn't sound like something that would be
No.
likely, right?
Right.
So
No,
so what's that kind of like?
yeah. It's like I said, it's definitely been fast moving. But I always knew I wanted to play in college. Growing up, I just didn't know it was football. But then as soon as I started playing football, I immediately fell in love with it. But like I said, it's a testament to the hard work, and if you really do put the work in, you can do what you want to do, and you can do it from whatever school. Like I said, Sunnyslope is not. You ask a bunch of people around the country, they're probably not going to know what Sunnyslope is. But that's why I stayed there, to try to change that narrative and to just show the kids in Central Phoenix that like if you work hard, you can do what you want to do, no matter how long you've been playing, no matter where you play, no matter your experience level. So just to put your head down and go get something.
Yeah, and I can definitely have a lot of respect for that because I'm out in Southern California, which is night and day different from Eugene. I lived in Eugene for 2 years and made it out to a couple schools out in Oregon. But I mean, you just have there's money being thrown around. There's people moving schools at the drop of a hat. So I think it's honorable to want to put on for your city and to beef up that tradition at Sunny Slope.
Yeah, both my sisters went here too, so it kind of has that family feel to it. It's a mile from both of my houses, so it's like I said, it's that family neighborhood feel, and I'm glad I did it at the school I did it at.
So I want to break down, a little bit more of your skill set as a quarterback and kind of get it in your own words, because we can watch the tape, but getting to pick your brain is, totally different experience. You can improvise, you can throw off platform, you can run, you can do a little bit of everything. But if someone never heard of Luke Moga, how are you describing yourself?
Yeah, obviously I'm a pass first quarterback. Quarterbacks pass first, but I'm loose. I'm very loose mechanically, which I think is humbly super impressive for how long I've been playing. Like I said, I can make throws off platform. I can extend plays. I'm like ferocious. I get super jacked up when I'm playing out there too. So I play with a lot of intensity. But I'm a service quarterback. Quarterback's a service position. You help your teammates, and you got to be the best leader on the field. So that's my game.
And I think that it's not obviously a direct comparison, but I think it might have been when I was writing about you after you committed, or maybe I was doing my podcast about you. I kind of saw a little bit of Bo Nix in your game in terms of like, just seeing what you guys are able to do, the throwing off platform and kind of just being able to make things happen. What do you think of that comparison?
That's interesting you say that, because that was one of the staff's hardest selling points. And I actually got to talk to Bo a little bit when I was up there too. But they tell me how much I remind them of him. And Coach Stein was out at the showcase on last Friday, watching our team work, and he stayed for my entire practice. And after we were talking, he's just like, "Gosh, man, you remind me so much of Bo, and just your instincts and how you do things." So that was definitely a huge selling point. And to them telling me, how much I remind them of Bo, and me having this little experience and my room to grow and still be that guy for them.
Yeah. Okay. So that's cool. It's not just me that sees that.
That's been a huge thing. Even our body builds, we're 6'2". He's probably got, I think, 15, 20 pounds on me right now, but I'm 17, so I have no doubt I can get there. But I think we're about the same speed. I might have him a little bit, who knows, but no, it's the whole staff too.
Okay, cool. Well, I definitely want to get to, you talked about selling point, and I want to get to the recruiting process because that's a whole story in itself. Yeah. But there's one more thing I want to ask you about before we get to that. We talked about your versatility. We got to talk about the speed, man, because, you got soccer, you got football, now track season just wrapped up. I want to make sure I say it right. Was it tied for the state title in the 100? I want to make sure I'm giving you your props.
So it was essentially yes, but technically no. Technically, I lost by 0.006 of a second. So my buddy who's going to play football at Northern Arizona, he ran a 10.491, and I ran a 10.497. So I lost by 0.006 of a second. But you had to go into the computer to see that. So they printed that out after. So at the time when I posted that, we thought we tied. So I couldn't change that, but props to him. He got me, so I came in second. But 10.49 is I still think really impressive.
Oh, and no doubt it is impressive. So congratulations on all your efforts out there. A lot of running backs, wide receivers, corners, they run track. I don't feel like you hear about too many quarterbacks that are running track. Just tell me about the process of just going through track and focusing solely on speed. What was that whole thing like, and how has that kind of helped you?
Yeah, right. So this was my second year of track. Actually, I didn't do a freshman year. That was my COVID year. And my dad was a 10.6 guy, 10.67 guy in high school. And he was pushing me to do that, when I got to high school, but I couldn't do it freshman year. So I started doing it last year. To tell you the truth, I'll tell my coach this too. She knows I didn't really like it because it's different when you got guys chasing you. You're trying to score touchdowns, running away from people. But I just didn't like running just to run. And then I saw my time start from, I started at 11.5, and then I went to 11.3, 11.05, 11 flat, and then I finished state last year with a 10.9. So I'm like, oh shoot, like I have a pretty good time. So then when I got to this year, I opened up, tripping out of my blocks, getting last place, and then and that was like 11.2, which was still good for tripping out. And then the next 3 meets I false started. So then I know. And then I came out and I ran a 10.7.0 as my first meet getting out the blocks. And then I did that again in the prelims. And then in the finals, I was like, oh shoot, I'm running next to that kid, like I said, who just got me. And then he pushed me, and then I was 10.49. So I'm like, oh shoot, if I ran next year, which won't happen because I'm an early enrollee, I think I would have got down to like 10.2, 10.3, like some of these other guys. But I was running track for football to get faster because that's the way the game's going, is speed. And like Coach Lanning said, I think it was last week, you can't really teach speed. So that's why I'm trying to continue to separate myself at. And like I said, you don't see too many quarterbacks doing that. So that's why I think I'm so different in that aspect.
Yeah, no doubt. That's cool just to see the market improvement, from year to year. And then you didn't even like it, and then you kind of started liking it. You're like, oh, I think I can, kind of do my thing here. And then you shave off, almost a full half second, I think it was, which is, I never ran track, but I swam in high school, so I kind of get a little bit of that.
Yeah.
You're battling yourself, kind of a deal. So that's a super cool story, man. Yeah, and you got to kind of end it on a pretty high note.
Yeah, no, I was super excited. My goal was to beat my dad's 10.67. So when I walked into state and I'm like, okay, oh, did I lose you? Oh,
No,
no,
I'm
there
here.
you
I'm
go.
here. I got
Okay.
you.
Sorry, the computer just went black. I walked into state and I'm like, okay, I'm aiming for low 10.6. And then I ran next to people faster than me, and it pushed me and I saw my time. I'm like, holy crap, like I just ran that. So I was super excited, obviously, and to go out like that too was super cool.
No doubt, man. That's awesome. So we're getting a little bit of all angles here on your story and your upbringing. So I love getting that. But now I got to talk about the recruiting process, man,
Yeah.
because it was definitely a whirlwind process for you. I'd like to say I covered it pretty close. I think from the moment you got offered until up to when you committed. For people who don't know, I think you got offered originally by Stein and the Ducks in January after a visit. And then, things kind of started to heat up from there, just offer after offer after offer coming in. I don't know if Oregon was the one that set it in motion necessarily, but I think you can kind of make the argument for that.
Yeah.
A couple spring visits, and then you end up being a Duck. There's some specific storylines I want to get into, but just to open it up there, what was the recruiting process like for you?
Yeah, like you said, it came really fast. I think I had one FBS offer during the season. It was Central Michigan, and then after that, I picked up two Power Fives in Arizona State and BYU, and then they started coming like really really fast. Obviously, and then I visited Oregon with a bunch of the AZ guys. I loved Coach Stein, and then I think he offered me like the next day or 2 days later after that visit. And then it really started to pick up, almost every day type stuff. I knew it would be like that, but I didn't know it would be that fast. Because most guys are going through this. Their end of freshman sophomore year. This really happened to me after my junior year, so I'm like a year away from going to college, and now it's picking up. But I wouldn't change how it happened, and I'm just happy to be a Duck.
Yeah, no, it's definitely cool to see how it all came together because took a couple of big spring visits to Oregon, and then you set your commitment date for April 28th, and then you're like, no, let's pump the brakes, not going to be doing that. And then you DM'd me, hey, I'm coming back the next weekend, and I was like, whoa, maybe something's going down. You end up popping right before the spring game. What was that process kind of like? Because I don't know, it's like a lot of wrinkles going on, and it seemed like you were ready to hop in, maybe slowing down.
Yeah, there was some stuff, not stuff, but there were just some miscommunications, I would say. But then I went up there, I had a good 2 days with them, talked and saw eye to eye, and I walked away assured that that I was the guy, and I didn't want to keep waiting. The grass isn't always greener. Sure, I could have waited and heard from some other schools, but I really did like Oregon, and they were recruiting me super super hard. And just being with the players too, the 2 times before I was there. So you get a true sense of kind of how it is. And I just really liked it. And it was kind of a media like uproar that I canceled it and then ended up committing on the same day. I know that probably caught a lot of people by surprise. But I wanted to help recruit at the spring game. So that's kind of how that worked out.
Okay. Yeah. For those of us watching, I don't know what's going on with my StreamYard. Like my name is coming in and out. I don't know if you're seeing that, Luke, but hopefully the technological difficulties don't mess us up too much. But yeah, I think that was kind of interesting, seeing that you were maybe going to do it and then not do it. So when did you actually know, hey, I'm ready to hop in the boat here and, ultimately tell the staff?
Yeah. So I was there the weekend before. And they obviously wanted me to jump in and to get this going. They recruited me super hard, but they kind of were making some jokes like, whenever you're ready, just go public with it. Hopefully we'll be scrolling on Twitter and just see something. So I actually didn't tell any of them. I told one guy on staff, and was like, I think Coach Lanning got done with the walkthrough the day before the spring game. So I FaceTimed him. I'm like, Coach, is your Twitter broken? Can you check yours?" And they checked it, and then they freaked out, and he saw the post. So it was kind of a surprise because they were making some jokes about it. But that was kind of how I did that, and I think I really, really knew the second time I was there. Like I said, that weekend we talked, and then I knew on the 24th, I think it was a Monday, and I was just going to go public the day before the spring game. So that's that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, we know how commitments kind of play into the momentum of things. Gary Bryant hopping in last night was big.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Yeah, you had some big schools in the mix, Luke. You had BYU, you had the Arizona schools were after you. I know you were feeling Miami for a little bit. I want to say TCU. What would you say kind of set Oregon apart after you got all these amazing options, in front of you?
Yeah, I would just say, how badly they wanted me to be the guy. I want to go somewhere where I was wanted, and I definitely felt that. And also just the resources outside of football and inside of football to just be successful in life and, after football too. But also I like the opportunity, with Bo leaving this year. I want to go somewhere where I can compete and I think it's fair to say there's no. Oh, I'm gonna take that back. I just want to go somewhere where I can compete and learn. And I felt that there. But like I said, the resources and also the family environment and just hanging out, kicking it with the players too. I definitely felt at home.
Right on. Cool to get your perspective on that. This next one is, been one of the biggest talking points in the Oregon recruiting community for a long time. Even before you committed, there were two names that everybody was focused on at quarterback. It was Luke Moga and it was Michael Van Buren out of Baltimore, Maryland, St. Francis Academy. Luke, you're obviously in the fold right now, but I feel like it was a very unique position for you to be in, to kind of more or less be attached at the hip to another guy in terms of just these conversations, right? So what was that kind of like, leading up to your commitment, and then now that you're committed, it's a very unique situation because someone's saying Luke Moga and they always say Michael Van Buren, or they're talking about Michael Van Buren, but you got to talk about Luke Moga too. I might have butchered asking that question, but I think you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm not too focused on that. I committed, to be the guy, and I've talked to Mike. I was up there with him at the spring game. He's a good kid, and I'm recruiting him too. I don't want them to. I would rather have a kid, my grade, my age versus a portal kid. And I think the kind of college football consensus is that you want 4 quarterbacks on scholarship. And obviously with Bo leaving, that leaves Ty and Austin. So I'm recruiting him too. I hope he jumps on board. He's a nice kid. But I'm confident in my abilities, and I'm not worried about anyone else but myself.
For sure. No, that's definitely a great perspective on it. And it's nice to hear it from you, because everyone wants to be a keyboard warrior on Twitter and act like they know what's going on and act like they know what's best. But it's your life, and you got to do what you think's best.
Yeah, I promise you that the guys typing on Twitter, you guys might have some insight, but the fans typing on Twitter, they've got no clue what's going on. So I try not to read into that stuff at all.
For sure. Well, I like the way that you're handling it, man. I know it's a crazy. This is probably the craziest time ever to be recruited, because you have NIL, you have the portal, you have conference realignment, and who the heck knows what's going on with that. But I got just a couple more for you, Luke, and then we'll get you out of here, man. You mentioned how you're recruiting Michael Van Buren. That would be a really, really, star-studded quarterback class. But I wanted to get some of your thoughts on the guys that are maybe already in the fold, and then build off that with who's your priority who are your priorities to recruit to join you.
Yeah. Ty's, I think, Ty was a class of 21, right? Or yeah. So I don't know how many years he's got left on, left to play. But, I think after Bo leaves, I think he would get a chance or whatever happens. But then after that, there would be a freshman. And then if Mike jumps on, or another kid in my grade, whatever it is, there would be 2 freshmen, a redshirt freshman, and Ty would be a junior, senior. I'm not too sure. But so, they're definitely both really good players. I was up there, seeing them. Ty looks, I think he's 6'3", 6'4", maybe. Oh, probably not. I think he's like 6'3", but he's a big guy. And I know Austin, he's put on a lot of weight. Looks, he looks good, and they can both sling it. and Ty's an Arizona kid too. So there definitely be a little connection there. But, I just see a place where there's already a good quarterback room and to go compete. And if there's another 24 or a portal kid, whatever it is, great. But, like I said, I'm very confident in my abilities. It's not cockiness. It's just how prepared I am and how hard I've worked. So whatever happens, happens. And I'm just focused on myself.
And you got to, take a lot of trips during the recruiting process, meet a lot of people, hear a lot of things from coaches. What were some of the lessons that you were able to learn after going through such a crazy process?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of fake in the recruiting aspect. When you get there, they act one way, and then the players, how you see them treat them at practice, whatever school that might be. So I would just give advice to anyone watching this or anyone that's going through it to just kind of sort out the fake from real. And then once you do that, you can really break down your options and see where you want to go.
All right, good stuff, man. Well, want to dig a little deeper with this last one. You're not just an athlete. You're not just a quarterback that's committed to Oregon. You got other stuff going on in your life. Tell us a little bit about who Luke is off the field. What are you interested in? What kind of hobbies do you have? Any majors sound interesting at the college level? Just kind of take us off the field.
Yeah. So, I've grown up a sports guy. So, when I'm not doing sports or not working out, I kind of like to get my rest and be a little homebody and just chill out. I don't go out too many times on the weekends. I've been out a few times, grad parties and stuff like that. But I like spending quality time with my friends. I like to golf. And obviously, I'm a quarterback. So, I got to be kind of good at golf for the future. But I got to work on my game in between driving and putting because that's all I can do. I mess around with Coach Stein like that. I'm really good at driving and putting. Anything in between, I think I got to work on. But I just like being with my friends. I like being home and just hanging out. And when I'm not doing sports, just kind of chilling out.
Right on. Yeah, it sounds like you're getting to, just enjoy being a kid before,
Definitely.
before you get to college, because I think some people just get so focused on getting to college, and it's like
you're gonna
high
miss
school
it.
only comes around once, man.
Exactly. I'm going to college and at the end of December. So I got one more. I'm almost done with the school year, and then I got one more semester and one more year of high school football too. And I know I'm going to miss that. So, I'm just trying to be where my feet are and just, like you said, have fun being a kid before it gets real and business like.
So looking ahead to the 23 season, who are you looking forward to playing the most, on that Sunnyslope schedule? What do you have circled?
We play a school called Brophy College Prep. They've got some guys. Ben Morrison was the last guy to come out of there at Notre Dame, but I applied there, and it's a private Catholic school. I didn't get in, so those guys they're a good team, but they're over there, kind of messing with me. I got a lot of friends on the team because I didn't get in, so I'm a reject to the school. But we haven't played them in a very long time, and they're about 3 miles apart from us. So that's a game I have circled on the schedule.
Awesome. Yeah. Gotta have our eyes on that game. Before we get out of here, Luke, I just wanted to give you, a chance to plug all your social media or anything, for people that want to follow you or get to know you better. Where can people find you?
Instagram, I think it's just my name, Luke Moga with 2 A's. And then Twitter, if you want to tag me, I think you have my Twitter. Luke Moga QB. So those are the only 2 things I'm on.
All right, perfect. Well, you guys make sure you tap in with Luke over there on social media. If you want to find more of me, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at mtorresports. Subscribe to my YouTube channel at Oregon Football Max Torres, and then read all of my stuff over on ducksdigest.com. Thank you guys so much for taking some time out of your day to talk some Duck football with us, talk some Cruton, and of course, a massive thank you to Luke for giving me some of his time to hop on the pod. I'm going to be out in Phoenix this week, so I'm going to be stopping by Sunnyslope to see what Luke and the squad have cooking for next year. So if you want to see more of that, make sure you guys tap in. But until next time, we will see you in the next episode of the Ducks Dish Podcast.